Okay, I thought it might be interesting for you guys to see exactly what goes on for me when I do some jingles. Now, yesterday I spent about 3 hours going through mixing my name with some standard shouts that I've got on various tapes in the studio. Sorry about the quality because of this light, but we're going to be down on the desk in a minute. And the Revox, summertime, as you can see, they're all on these, mixed on the Tashcam multi-track, and then put. So we're just trying. That seems to work. Now you can see why the heads on these machines never lasted very long, because of the amount of punishment the machine gets, and why I work probably in a mess. It's because that's the best way I can work. Mark the tape where the actual jingle starts. There's 3 heads on the Revox. There's the erase, the record, and the playback head. This is a 2-track high-speed machine, which means you can only travel the tape in one direction. You turn it over and everything plays backwards. So once you've got your cue, you take it back. So the jingle is actually just on the erase head, and we can actually put it onto the jingle machine in a second. But before that, I need to load up a NAB Cart, so let me show you how that's done. Right, okay, here we have a NAB cartridge, which is a continuous loop cartridge. 8 tracks were made from these. These were the first, as far as I'm aware, things that were made. You can put 1 spool and some pressure pads for the tape. Now, you used to be able to buy these pre-loaded with tape, and the tape that comes in these cartridges is lubricated tape, so it's got a graphite back to the tape. The problem is now, of course, it's very difficult to get hold of the tape. So I bought a load of tapes with lots and lots, a load of cartridges with lots of tape in, and was able to utilise the tape. You have to be careful when you're doing this. Remember, I've been doing this for a long time, over 20 odd years. You can load these via the Revox if you've got lots of tape to put on the spools. But when you're just doing 5-second, 10-second jingles, or even 30-second jingles, you can actually hand load the tape because you don't need a great deal of tape. The thing is with it, as you can see, it's rather slippery because it's got the graphite back. And the idea really is not to damage the tape, right? You put a crease in it, because if you do that, then it's good night Vienna. The tape is actually wrecked. And the idea is you're loading it with the graphite back to the spool, Once you get going, it's great. You know, it's not a problem. Now, there's lots of different NAB carts, different manufacturers, and they all load their cartridges in different ways. This is a Fidelipack 4, I think, and it's different from the Fidelipack 2s and 1s and all that stuff. It's not Fidelipack, it's Audio Cart, which is made by Capital, EMI, whatever. Right, so this particular cartridge, the tape, because it's a stereo cartridge, runs all the way around the outside of the cartridge and down to about there. And then the idea now is not to sort of make it too tight, because it's got to run on itself. With a Chinograph pencil, I used to have hundreds of these and they're gradually running out. Mark the tape where you're going to splice it. 1, 2. It doesn't have to be that accurate, but it needs to be loose and not tight. But it can't be too loose because that will run you into problems as well. And then we splice in using a splicing block, and these splicing blocks are like gold dust these days. I think they now sell brand new ones for over £60 on eBay, but obviously I had these from way back. I've got a couple of them left which have been really used, but they never wear out. If you look after them, they're fine. and the famous single-edged razor blade, which was always tricky to get in the early days. In bulk, you can always buy them odd, but we used to buy them at packs of 100. And then you've got your special splicing tape, not sellotape. Some people would use sellotape and you just can't do that. Sellotape's too sticky. You have to get this accurate, and then you just press down on the graphite side of the tape, the slippery side, let go, and there's your splice. When you record your jingle, you do not record over the splice because it will be noticeable. And then we just go back round with the tape like so. Tricky, huh? Because you don't want to put a crease in it, so you don't want to start to lose your temper with it, because you won't win. Right, there's lots of different cartridges from different manufacturers and they all load differently, so you just have to be aware of what happens. My favourite syringe, not for drugs, it's got a blunt end to it. We use it on the Rusco turntables to pump oil into the motor. That could be another video. Button that up, and that's it done. Now what we've got to do now is run it in the machine. Okay, so having done the cartridge, we now put it into the jingle machine, and the next thing to do here is to centralise the tape. So we just hit play. These are ex-BBC Sonifex machines, stereo. There's only one record playback machine, which is this one, and these are just stereo playbacks. This is a mono broadcast electronics machine, which I very seldom use, mainly because it needs new bearings in the motor, but still worth having the machine. So we're looking for the splice tape to come round. Once that comes round, we stop the machine. Makes you wonder if it's ever going to come round. There it is. So stop the machine. Now this is the record module, and the Revox is loaded with the jingle. This is a different jingle to what I was lining up just now, but it's the same principle anyway. The fader's up, reverb, a little bit of reverb, that's ready to go. And now all we've got to do is the Revox and the Sonifex together. This doesn't always work out right, and making sure I don't touch the power inside there, although this runs on something like 26 volts, where the Revox runs on 230 volts, which I found out yesterday when it woke me up when I touched the wrong part of it when I was trying to service the thing. Right, here we go, so both together.
Very charming, all oldies all the time.
Fader down, Revox off, let that spin for a little while, and then hit stop. What happens is when you hit record, apart from it going into record mode, when you press play, it's a three track system, left and right channels and a bleep track. So when you hit play, a bleep comes onto the tape just before the jingle, and that enables the machine to stop on its own, so you don't have to continually cue the jingle. So here we go again.
Very charming, all oldies all the time.
Fader down on the desk, Revox off, waiting for the splice to start to appear. Switch off, switch it back on. Sometimes it will jump, it hasn't this time, and then
very charming, all oldies all the time.
And there's your jingle. Although it's got a little bit of a jump on the audio I can hear, so I'm going to have to recart this again.
Very charming, all oldies all the time.
So it just needs, the heads need cleaning. This is the other thing with tape, you have to keep the heads clean, and that should be fine. There's no erase heads on these machines, there's purely just two heads. There's the record and playback head. So to erase this tape now, I have to use a bulk eraser and then start again. But before I do it again, I shall clean the heads. But that generally is what you do to cart up a jingle. And then all you do then, of course, once they're carted,
very charming summertime,
is you just put them in and press the button. You don't have to worry about queuing them or anything, so when you're doing your shows and things, you know that they're back on queue. They're there. Again.
Very Charlie. All oldies, all the time.
And there's that jingle again. So it just shows you that you know, it's so easy to use, and that's why they were used for many years in radio, for commercials, for trailers, for background music. In America they actually used these cartridges with records on, so they never had turntables, they just had carts loaded with music. So but now of course it's all done on computer. So this is dinosaur equipment made in the 1980s, this particular unit. So hopefully that's given you a bit of insight into what we do here.